Welcome to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison.
I'm Molly, a former skeptic, now full-time energy healer, author, and your resident science meets spirit nerd.
And I'm Madison, a born and raised witch, teacher of the craft, and owner of not one, not two, but 3 metaphysical businesses.
Together we dig into low-effort witchcraft, spirituality, and the science that backs it all up, all with humor, heart, and a sprinkle of chaos.
So whether you're a curious skeptic or a seasoned witch, find a cozy spot, take a deep breath, and let's demystify some magic. Howdy doody, friends.
Howdy doody, friends.
We are here with a highly requested, highly anticipated episode. Today we're talking about grimoires.
Grimoire.
Okay, we're here to talk about Wicked's the Grimoire. And we have a very special guest. Ariana Grande's here.
Hey,
everybody
hey.
Say Ariana Grande hi. Cynthia Erivo's here with her.
I don't know why I did a Michael Jackson.
I was just gonna move through it. I was gonna pretend that hadn't happened.
What sound does Ariana make? She's like, yeah.
Yeah, so the exact opposite of the hee. But,
Michael Jackson's here to interview Ariana Grande.
Yeah, we're actually stepping out. The ghost of Michael Jackson is here to interview Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo on the Grimoire. No, we're here to talk about the very real history and tradition of Book of Shadows, grimoires, witchy journals of all kinds, whatever you want to call it. The place where you keep your magical practices written down. We're here to talk about them.
Yep, we will actually talk about the difference between a grimoire versus a book of shadows versus just a regular old witchy journal. So thanks for queuing that up.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, I thought this would be fun. I was craving doing a research episode, but I was also craving doing a low lift episode. And so this is like a research light episode where it's like your usual riffy banter ideas from us infused with a little bit of historical fun facts. So if you like this style of episode, let us know what you want to see another one on. But before we dive into the grimoire, Madison, what was your magic moment of the week?
So I have probably what should be my magic moment of the week, but I have to tell you a story of how my magic moment got upstaged.
Oh no.
No, in the best way. So okay. I went to Atlanta this past weekend and I bought my wedding dress. And that should be my magic moment, right? Like, what could possibly be better? I had the best experience. If you are, okay, I know that we've gotten a lot of brides now who are listening to the podcast after our wedding episode, a lot of nearly weds, I'll say. If you are a person who wants to wear a dress to your wedding and you are, I would say, within a comfortable to you driving or flying distance from Atlanta, Georgia, go to the Sentimentalist. It is the most incredible bridal shop. I had 3 appointments while I was in Atlanta, and the experience at the Sentimentalist just blew them out of the fucking water. I had the most incredible time. I bought the first dress that I ever tried on.
Gorgeous, by the way.
And that's how well my bridal stylist, Sarah, love her down, wanted to invite her to the wedding by the end of the day. That's how well she got to know me in the 10 minutes that she spent walking me around the store. Just like, cannot sing their praises enough. Was truly so amazing. The owner did the checking me out process for me, and I think she was trying to push me out the door because I wouldn't stop talking about how lovely they were.
Aww.
So that should be my magic moment, right?
It's not, though.
The day after I bought my wedding dress was the 4th of July, which is not a holiday that, if you know anything about me, I particularly give a shit about. But all of my friends from college live in Atlanta. I talk about this a lot. I went and stayed with friend of the pod, Bridget, who...
The one with the Google Calendar.
Yes, the one with the Google Calendar. And I get to spend time with all of my oldest friends. So my friend Brandy hosted, and somehow through the course of the afternoon, her husband was making smoked meats, and we were just hanging out outside. He bought a blow-up pool for Bridget's kids. It was just a great time. Just hanging out, whatever. We watched the World Cup. And then Brady reveals to me that they have one of those scopes that can go into your ear with the camera.
I have one of those. I love it. I have used it every week. I keep it in my desk because this is gross. I work from home. Nobody comes in my office. I use it at my desk. Sometimes I'll be sitting in the waiting room on a Zoom call and I'll just scoop out my ears.
I used it for the first time. Everybody scoops their ears, whatever. Imagine there's a group of people on the couch watching the World Cup, and imagine there's a group of people with the ear scope, and the people with the ear scope are cheering louder. Everyone's crowded on my phone.
I know.
So I clean it. You know, I've used the ear scope, whatever. I'm cleaning it with an alcohol pad. And I go to give it back to Brandy's husband. And he goes, "We haven't touched that thing in 6 months. Consider it a wedding present."
Oh my God, dude. Did you feel like you could hear colors after?
I can't even describe to you the way that my right ear feels in this moment.
I know, it's so good. It's
crazy.
The problem is I use mine too often, and so I don't have satisfying amounts of wax in my ear anymore.
Yeah.
And so the dopamine has dropped off.
I definitely did like maybe go a little too hard because I just have like itchy ears. They're not even super waxy, so I just used it to like scratch a little itch, and I think I went a little too hard, and so I was like, okay, I think this is a treat. I think this is like a once a month treat.
It's my full moon ritual.
But it was like that man, and I don't know this man very well. Like when I go to Atlanta, like I see him obviously, but I don't spend a lot of time with him. I'm
literally going to scoop my ears after this.
And the way that he saw me emote, like, I think I probably left the house and he was like, "What is wrong with your friend?" Like,
no one understands the high of getting just like a globule out of your ear.
It was the kindest thing I think maybe anyone's ever done for me, was to see that level of joy and relief that I experienced and be like, you know what? If I need it, I'm going to buy myself a new one. You take that home right now.
I feel so seen.
It was so good. Like, actually forgot that I had bought a wedding dress in that moment.
Okay, I just need to put the disclaimer out there. These ear scopes are not safe. Do not buy one.
Yeah, no, you can so easily injure yourself.
Yes, you can injure yourself. You can cause infections. They're so bad. Don't buy one. We're not endorsing them. But aren't they awesome?
Like, use at your own risk, for sure. But when it's free 99.
Dude, that was one of the first things I bought on TikTok Shop. And I bought it because I was like, this thing's a piece of shit. It's in my desk drawer. That's how often I use it.
And I don't blame you.
So good.
It's so tempting, especially when you just have a little itch and you're like, if I could just scratch.
Sometimes I just want to know what's going on in there.
Yeah. Ugh. So that's my magic moment. What was yours?
Wow. I thought I had a really good one. And then you said that and it just went out of my brain. So I thought I would give an exclusive on the pod.
Please.
As my magic moment. I have been keeping a secret from you for the last 2 months, maybe 3. I suddenly have an office space in Saco, Maine to see one-on-one Reiki clients again. And
so excited about this.
Do small group rituals and things. It's such a wild magic moment how all of this unfolded. I keep saying it's very full circle. So the long and short of it is during COVID, I took over ownership of the yoga studio I was teaching at, which was in the Mill in Biddeford, which is on the main street. And we ended up losing the space because it was COVID and, we couldn't even open. And so that's often where I say my business started was in that mill and on that street. And so fast forward to the year I was kind of transitioning out of my 9-to-5 and corporate into working for myself. I worked for an organization called Saco Main Street, which is a Main Street organization in Saco, Maine. They basically put on events and support small businesses on the main street, etc. And I went to a ribbon cutting for this new wellness studio space on Main Street. And I met this woman named Brittany, who's a Reiki practitioner. And I just fell in love with her. And I ended up going to see her for sessions over the last 5 years. She leases this space on Main Street that has like a main room that can fit probably like 10 to 15 people seated in a circle, 2 treatment rooms for Reiki practitioners, massage, etc. And a year ago, her tenant moved out, and in my brain, I was like, wouldn't it be interesting if I like had a space again and saw one-on-one clients again? What would that be like? And I talked myself out of it a year ago, and then someone rented the space, and immediately I was like, damn, I wanted that. And so when it came up again, her tenant moved out, and I asked her, you know, what would it look like for me to rent it? And the rent is so like astronomically affordable for the space and for the location that I was like, fuck it, we're doing this. And so I am located right above Swell, if you're familiar with the area. If you're on my email list, you'll get more details, but I'm going to open up for like one-on-one sessions. Then we'll do like a grand opening and all of that. But I've now entered the world of physical spacehood in the world, and it feels really good. It feels really full circle. And anyways, I told this story about the yoga studio because it's literally like a quarter of a mile away on the same street. So this space has been attached to, you know, the energy of my business since day one, and has woven itself to all these different parts of my path. And finally the timing lined up that I was like, hell yeah, let's do this. So if you're in Maine and you want to see me for a session, or if you want to come to an event, more details coming very soon. But that has been my magic moment for 3 months, and it feels really real now because we finally painted the space. So now it's dark purple and beautiful and moody and witchy and cozy, and I'm just so excited.
I'm thrilled about this. I really, like, when you first texted me about it, it was like an immediate, of course, like, this is the obvious choice. I'm so excited to see, like, we've been talking so much, I feel like, over the last year or so about the craving for in-person.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so exciting for you to get to like experience that magic again as well, because it's just like so fucking fun.
Yeah, and on like one of my favorite main streets in Maine that I know deeply, like on every fucking level, like know almost every business owner on the street already, know all the organizations that interface with that area, like, you know, it's just, yeah, it just felt like right fit, right time. Who knows? Like, I might get in there and start doing sessions, be like, you know what? There's a reason I went all online, but I just like having the option. That's one of the things that touring for Mundane Magic has really showed me, is I just want the option to be able to like move on ideas that I have. You know, like I've been doing all these different workshops for other people's stores in line with the themes of Mundane Magic. And I'm like, what if one day I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. I want to teach my sigil workshop, and I want to do it tomorrow, and I want to do it for 5 people. Great. Let's do it. There's, you know, the logistics behind being able to do it now myself is there's so much less friction. And right above a coffee shop that I wrote Mundane Magic in, like, yeah. Swell opened around the time that my manuscript was coming up due. And I sat on that counter and I wrote Mundane Magic. I literally, the other day, I was in the studio while Justin was painting, writing my second book, and I texted Brittany a photo, and I was like, it's funny how both of my books will have been written on the same Wi-Fi. And it just a floor apart from each other.
Yeah.
And so, again, like, this space is just so woven into the path. I'm excited to listen back to this a year from now and be like, damn, that was the start.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to try, we talked about this already, I'm going to try to be there when you have your grand opening. It just is maybe looking like it's very close to my deadline.
Yeah.
And I'm in a place of pure panic in this moment, and so I can't commit to anything.
That's
in
fair.
Those surrounding, I feel like almost like the surrounding 6 weeks. I'm like, I will be holed up in a windowless room.
Yeah.
I'm going to find the world's most terrifying Airbnb.
Hey, I know a few. So
truly, we've been to them together. And I'll lock myself in there.
But yeah, on the topic of books, grimoires. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
So to get out of the way, the bare bones basic, like what is a grimoire? It's essentially a book where you keep information about your magical practice, whether that is spell work that you've done, correspondences, things you want to remember. There are some grimoires that are, like commonplace journals, which is where you write down things that you want to remember. So I've seen grimoires that are, each page is a different tarot card and they write the things that they want to remember about them and they include images that remind them of it, etc. I've seen grimoires that are strictly narrative, like almost like journal keeping of your magical experiences, magical practice. I've seen grimoires that are, spell candle recipes or recipes for other types of spells. There's really no right or wrong to include in it. And we'll talk about some of the historical examples of grimoires of the past. But it's essentially a record keeping for your spell work or your magical practice.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing about a grimoire is kind of my favorite thing about the magical path, which is just that it's kind of whatever you want it to be. Mm-hmm. And I know we're going to talk about like some of the technical differences between the two, but I do kind of love that those are all preference, right? Like, mm-hmm. I can't imagine the differences are super intense, and nobody is coming from like the grimoire police to be like, well, actually that's a book of shadows, so you should call it something different. Or if you just want to call it your journal, there's no one who's going to come and be like, well, actually you need to use this like other more complicated word that maybe has some heaviness attached to it for you, because it might feel a little, for me the word grimoire is like can feel a little heavy. Mm-hmm. I feel like it has a gravitas that maybe like my chicken scratch notes don't always feel like they super live up to in my mind. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I have a grimoire that is like this fancy journal that I bought at the Ren Fair. Mm-hmm. And it's where I write down the rituals that we do specifically at Spellcrafter.
Cute.
Because I want to have like this beautiful record of this thing. And then my like actual witchy journal is literally like on my iPad.
Yeah. I remember you telling me that once and I was like, that's genius. So I am someone that, try as I might, I cannot keep segregated journals for things. I am someone that right now I'm sitting next to my journal and it has notes from a training that I just went through. It has my to-do list in the form of a bingo board, which, by the way, is the greatest ADHD life hack I've ever found on Instagram. Thank you to the person who posted about it. I cannot remember your username, but the dopamine when I hit a bingo last week, oh my God. It also has my grocery list. It has random scribbles. It has content ideas. Like, I just combine it all. So my official grimoire, it lives in the drawer of my altar. And as I'm writing down my spells in whatever journal is closest to me, if it's a spell that I want to remember, I will transfer it over to the actual grimoire. So I'm like keeping things like all chaotic over here on sticky notes and napkins and shit. And then the grimoire that lives in my altar, so it never moves, so I never lose it. That is where I transfer over like my sigils in their final form. And, if I do a spell, I write down the ingredients and what I did and how I felt after. But because it's there and out of sight, I tend to forget to transfer things over. And so it's usually like a once a quarter, I'll be like, shit, I got to write all my shit down. And I go through all the piles of paper on my desk.
And I think that's fine.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah, there's no
grimoire police.
Yeah, and I think that kind of like iterative system is a really great way to like, it's kind of like, it makes me think about the idea of when you want to clean out your closet, you put all of your clothes backwards in your closet, and then if you wear it, you put it back in the right way.
Forwards. Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like that. At the end of the
year, you know what you haven't worn.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like that of if the sticky note is at the bottom of the pile and I never think about it again, then it's probably fine that it doesn't make it into the fancy grimoire. But if I keep returning to that sticky note and making little tweaks,
yeah, exactly,
then you know that it's worth transcribing.
Exactly. Yeah. The reason why I'm excited to do this is because I have started a new grimoire and it's different than anything I've ever created before. And I need to talk about it. So
tell me everything.
I think y'all are going to love it. But before we do that, let's talk about the history of grimoires. All right. This is my brief history. I only took 3.5 pages of notes. So
great. So
in my notebook of all things. So, okay. First of all, I was very fascinated by the etymology of grimoire. Where does that word come from? So it's the actual etymology is often contested, but one of the main sort of themes of what we think the word comes from is the French word for grammar, which is grimoire.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's exactly how they say it.
Yeah. All of our French listeners just compliment me on my pronunciation. And that has the same root as the word glamour, as in casting a glamour. So I found that to be interesting. Later, it became a French figure of speech, meaning something that's hard to understand. But the first time that grimoire was used to describe a book of magic was in 1801 with Francis Barrett's The Magus. Now, in terms of the earliest grimoires or books of magical spell work, etc., there were clay tablets found in ancient Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq. These clay tablets were dated between the 4th and 5th BC, which I found to be really interesting. I did not realize grimoires went back that far.
Wow.
And then ancient Egyptians used to inscribe magical incantations on amulets, which were considered to be sort of adjacent to those clay tablets. So instead of writing their spells and incantations in books, they wrote them on amulets. Now, the Greeks and Romans believed that books on magic were invented by the Persians. And in the 1st century AD, a writer named Pliny the Elder stated magic was discovered by philosopher Zoroaster in or around 647 BC, but was only written down in the 5th century BC by a magician named Osthames. This, again, is contested, so, I'm not a historian, but this is what I've learned. This is really interesting. Okay, this is the part of the history I really wanted to talk about, is that a lot of times when we think about how grimoires are perceived by non-witches, they're often seen as books of dark magic. And that came from, just the way that the church has spoken about our practices. But did you know there is evidence of grimoires used by certain sects of early Christianity?
So this is something that I actually did know a little bit about.
She always knows my funnest facts.
So I was in a long-term relationship with a medieval historian.
Oh, right.
And so I don't know it from the fun place. I only know it from the reading his papers.
Sure. Well, the Book of Enoch contained information on astrology and angels. Mm-hmm. And so that was considered to be an early grimoire. Eventually, when Christianity became the dominant faith of the Roman Empire, the church frowned upon these books of magic and burned many of them. But I just thought that was interesting, So in terms of what is a grimoire versus a book of shadows, this actually is a part of the history as well. So grimoire has frequently been referred to as a reference manual or a self-made textbook. Think of it like a cookbook. The term Book of Shadows is a Wiccan term that actually came through in the 40s, 50s, 60s, kind of popularized by Gerald Gardner, who we've done a whole episode on. And Book of Shadows was typically used to describe a book that was copied by hand from the initiator to the initiate within a coven, and eventually evolved to mean a personal working record that blends reference materials with, your own experiences. So think of it like a cookbook plus a diary, or like a cookbook that you're scribbling the margins in and like adding your own things to the recipes, adding your own notes, that type of thing. And then I thought it would be interesting to kind of compare these two terms to just a regular old journal. And journals are typically purely experiential, what you did, what you felt, etc., kind of like a lab notebook. So in terms of what we're talking about here, sort of the grimoire with a capital G, how we've colloquially termed this phrase nowadays, is it could be any combination of these three things. It could be a reference manual. It could be a commonplace journal where you're, sort of copying down information you learn elsewhere so that you have it handy. It could be a lab notebook for your own spell work. It could be any combination of the three, or it could be something completely different. I thought that was really interesting that Book of Shadows came through as a Wiccan term. That it didn't surprise me once I learned that, but I was like, oh, it all comes back to old Gigi.
Old Gigi, our old frenemy.
Like many things in witchcraft, grimoires were impacted by the printing press. This was the first time that cheap spell books, like a book called Petit Albert, which is which came from rural France to America and very much influenced the folk tradition of hoodoo. That was made possible by the printing press, or the wide publication of it through the printing press those times. Another famous grimoire is Key of Solomon. This was attributed to the King Solomon, but it was actually written much later. And then I thought it'd be fun just do a little myth busting. So one of the myths that I found in my research commonly comes up, or I guess like questions that often come up, is that a grimoire needs to be inherited or it needs to be passed down from someone who's in a higher level of a coven from you. And if you've listened to this pod at all, you're going to be not shocked when we say that does not need to be the case. Historically, grimoires were copied, adapted, personalized, kind of like copying someone's notes and then adding your own. But you can definitely start one from scratch. You don't have to like be passed down one. A lot of times people believe they have to be handwritten and they have to be leather bound and they have to be pristine. And that is not the case either. The medium doesn't make the magic. So you could have one on your notes app. You could have one, in a scrapbook. You could have one in tiny slips of paper. Like, it does not need to be fancy. There's no right way to do it. And then along with that, there's this idea that if you mess up in your grimoire, it's ruined. But I just wanted to give some historical context here that a lot of historical grimoires are full of corrections, margin notes, additions, scribbles, doodles, all of those little things. They are not pristine. They are not perfect. They are meant to be working books. So think about your cookbook that is pristine has never been spilled on in the kitchen. Like, how much use are you really getting out of it? So let it be messy. Let it be scratchy. Let it be a first draft that you're going back and adding to.
Yeah, I think that was the really good thing I got out of that relationship with that historian is because imagine the history major who was writing all of these long papers and dissertations and things, and the girl with the English degree whose program was literally called Editing, Writing, and Media. I was in charge of a lot of rough drafts.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that I always thought was so interesting that he would show me is the way that these old books, because I just think I always have thought of people who live in the past as these very pristine versions of humans, and seeing firsthand accounts of things from the past, and people are writing in the same way that we would talk today, or, in a Old English version of that, where it is silly little drawings in the margins of these books that are now these really, really important record keeping things. Yeah. But, like, they didn't fucking know that, It was just like writing things down. And I think about how even in modern adaptations, like in Buffy, there are these old spell books that Giles, which rest in peace, he died recently. The actor who played Giles on Buffy.
I did know that.
Will pull out this old dusty pristine, perfect record-keeping book, and it's either, you know, it'll be like this book on demons or this old grimoire or whatever the thing is, and they're so like perfect old, you know, when something is like meant to look, whatever.
Yeah.
I think that even that kind of stuff impacts the way that I see my own record keeping. And it is so true that it just is not like that, even in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think too, you know, I'm sure those listening will feel seen by this, but I have first page notebook anxiety, where it's like I buy a beautiful notebook and I'm like, okay, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one that sticks. And I don't use it because I'm scared to mess up the first page. And that prevents me from writing a lot of things down. I think that's why I either have blank notebooks or I have chaos fucking notebooks. Like there's no in between.
You just have reckless abandon and go, you know what? Like this doesn't matter. What's in this doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go, I'll do that. That was big for me when I was a child. I was obsessed with the idea of having a diary. I really wanted to be a person who wrote in their diary daily. Yeah. And then I would get a diary and I would not like my handwriting on the first page. And I would be like, well, the whole thing's ruined and I can't have a diary. And so all of my childhood notebooks have like 2 pages written in them. Yep. And then I would buy a new notebook or like, you know, beg my mom for a new notebook and be like, no, I promise I finished the last one.
Yeah.
And it's shoved under my bed.
This is why I had a live journal so I could delete things from my digital notebook.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, live journal. Haven't heard that in a long time. Live journal grimoires, anyone? Do we bring it back?
Well, one of the things that, okay, I'm going to.
Wait, can I share a realization I just had?
Please.
I think my first grimoire was on Tumblr.
Yeah, I believe it. You are going to step right on my cool idea. And I swear, if you say the cool idea before me, I'm going to be so upset.
Well, can I just say what I would do when I was in high school?
Okay.
Because if I was in high school, then like I beat you to it 10 years ago and I'm sorry. But on Tumblr, there was a witchy community. And I'm thinking about the way that you were saying that it's grimoires are copied and other people and all those things. And remember reblogging on Tumblr? I would be reblogging spells. Did I take it from you? I'm
That's
sorry.
That's one of my ideas.
It was, and I wish
you can take the idea. Yeah, you can take the idea. Mine's better.
Well, I'm not taking it. It's like actually what I did.
I know. No, it's good. You can share it. You can take the credit.
Thanks for the permission to share my own experience on our shared podcast that I'm half of.
Okay, stop. We're going to get all the comments saying Molly's being mean to Madison.
Well, Molly is being mean to Madison. No, I'm kidding. I'm not fueling that fire. Weird guys, we're joking. Just because I beat her to the idea 10 years ago and she's salty about it. Okay. We're allowed to have a little fun. But that was like the internet in early 2010s was a collective grimoire because we were just all sharing and participating. And that's what I loved about Tumblr. I feel like on TikTok, everyone's like, you have to give credit. Where's the dance credit? Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Tumblr was a free-for-all. Like we were fully the intention of it was to like you wanted more people to reblog your stuff.
Yeah. And it also didn't matter like everyone was like copying everyone, so it didn't really, like nothing was original.
Yeah, nothing was sacred.
In the best
Not to say
way.
that we shouldn't give credit on TikTok if you make a dance.
It was just a different.
It just was a different way of being. I feel like
it's
TikTok
very collaborative.
Tumblr was very collaborative in a way that TikTok is not, and that was my favorite era of the internet for me was finding witches on Tumblr because it was so community driven in a way that I had not experienced before.
Totally. My great idea, which you are kind of giving the digital version of what I'm going to share, so complementing my analog version.
There we go. We've reached compromise. We've reached compromise.
I
thought you were going to glaze right over that, and I was then we were actually going to be fighting, and Lily was going to have to cut me yelling at you.
Oh God! If you know, you know, and if you don't, join the Patreon. Come listen to Yap Island. Okay, my analog version is I have fallen in love with commonplace junk journaling.
Mm-hmm.
So this is essentially here's how I apply it to grimoires. So I have a very hard time describing how a spell makes me feel or the results of a spell because I'm claircognizant.
Mm-hmm.
So, or I have lots of different clairs, but like claircognizant, the just like inner knowing, like I just know. When it works, I know. That is my strongest. And so I have a really hard time kind of like describing what a spell does or whatever because it's just a very deeply embodied, there isn't really sensory details or like physical tangible details. So I really struggled with like journaling about my magical practice or like journaling about tarot or kind of describing when I do tarot readings for myself. They're very different than like how I would do it for someone else. And it's hard for me to like basically put that on paper is what I'm trying to say. Maybe someone else relates to this. So I have been really I got this like big ass collage book. So there's like stickers, but there's like papers and there's, things you can tape and there's clear things and there's shiny things and there's all kinds of stuff. So what I do is I've been doing this with tarot where I'll sit with, say, the Fool. And I will study the imagery of a couple of different decks and I will sit with the keywords. And then I will, with that in my awareness, flip through the collage book and notice what things pop out to me and what feel like the Fool, where I just land on a page and I'm like, oh, I need to put this on the page and I don't know why. And I just know. And I will start to collage and kind of like junk journal. Sometimes it's like, wrappers or, a receipt or whatever that felt like the Fool or whatever the case may be. And I will place that on the page. And then in the blank space, I will write down the keywords. I will write down, things I noticed from the imagery. I'll write down things that I wrote as notes from you and Anthony's tarot class, or I'll Google the card, write down what other people's descriptions are. And then by the end, I have this page that visually to me and no one else feels like the Fool and also has all the information that I want to keep from that card. And it takes me like maybe an hour because I take my time with it. I don't really time myself, but I've been doing like one every couple of nights and then just really sitting with the energy. And the way that I feel like I've been able to embody my practice so much more, like in ways that go beyond words, has been so helpful for me. I've also been doing this with my sigils and, if there's basically like anything that I have a hard time like retaining in my brain. So if there's like a crystal that I'm like, I can't ever remember like what this one does or what makes it different from another one that's the same color or whatever, I will sit with that crystal and I will do the same thing. This has been, I can't even describe to you how much I have enjoyed this. Like, I just sit on my deck at night and I just have all my junk journaling supplies and it has been so much fun. I cannot wait until I fill this journal. And then it's just this big, massive, chaotic grimoire of like colors and textures and just, I love it.
I love that we've swapped hobbies.
I know.
Because I also love to junk journal. I have put it down recently, but I've still been like saving a bunch of stuff that I find. I literally have stuff like magneted to my fridge that I am like, well, I need to put this in my junk journal when I get back into it because I do miss it. But I've been so hyper focused on knitting. Anytime I'm doing anything else, there's like not enough hours in a day for all my desired hobbies.
Yeah.
But I love that we've done this switch because it's so fun to watch you enjoy something that I know is so fun.
It's so calming. That's the thing that like I can't think about anything that's worrying me when I'm doing this because I'm so present. I highly recommend, if you struggle with journaling, get yourself a collage book. It was like $30 on TikTok Shop. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. I'm
so
obsessed. So good. So good. So that's one idea of grimoires. Either you could do a Pinterest or I don't know if Tumblr still exists, but like whatever.
It does still exist, but it's just so different. It's different. I mean, its golden age has passed, but
yeah.
I would be interested to know if the witchy community is still thriving there, because that wouldn't surprise me, because it feels a little bit more like niche and underground now these days.
Totally.
Whereas it used to be, all the rage.
I think anywhere where you can collect things. Like I know I have a couple of witchy friends who have Notion pages that they use as their grimoire. I use Notion for like anytime I have a reading from someone else. I have like a list of all my readings, and then each reading is dated and who the reader was and like what the topic was as a new page. And then I put all my notes in there. So I love keeping some things digitally, some things analog, but some ideas of what you can add to your grimoire, whatever style you want it to be, is you could use it as a commonplace journal. So you could write down magical correspondences. You know, we have a grimoire for our Patreon, and that has, you know, the planetary correspondences, that has, you know, all of the notes from our Know Your God series, all of the notes from the Wheel of the Year, you know, like, so you could do something like that, or you could just join our Patreon and copy our grimoire and use that as your jumping off point, demystifymagic.com. You could also keep track of moon phases, seasonal shifts, how you are feeling. I like to keep in my grimoire the journal prompts that I give myself for the solstices and equinoxes, because I like to look back at, you know, at the start of the season to the end, but also summer to summer, or eclipse season to eclipse season, full moon to full moon. Like that kind of stuff in your grimoire is really powerful to maintain. Another thing, and this is from our friend Anthony, friend of the pod, Anthony, he taught me to keep track of like intuitive hits or synchronicities, things that come up in readings that feel really strong, and times where your clairsenses were really singing to you, keeping track of those so that you have sort of a log of how these things come through, and you can start to validate your intuition as, you know, you gain more evidence. You could keep your bingo board. You could either do your bingo board for the year, things you wanted to do or achieve. We have episodes on that. Or you could make a bingo board for your spiritual practice. Like I said, I make a bingo board for my to-do list now. You could do this for your spiritual practice. So this month, I want to do a spell jar for X, Y, and Z. I want to do a new moon ritual. I want to study astrology, like whatever it is. Like make yourself a little bingo board and then, you know, check them off as you do them. But really, there's no right or wrong way to keep a grimoire. It's let it be super fun. You can have it be big and loud and bold, or you could keep it, you know, on your notes app and keep it really private and keep it just for you. There's, again, like no rules to this. It's what's going to make the most sense for you and what is going to feel supportive to your practice.
And it's also something that can evolve. It can start one way and halfway through transition into full-blown junk journal. You know, This is something, it doesn't have to be or look or be perceived as perfect in any way. It just has to be fun and enjoyable and helpful for you.
Yeah. I think the moment I stopped taking my grimoire as this thing that had to be a serious record-keeping system and could just become, you know, an embodiment of who I am right now and where my practice is right now. And that is like chaotic and fun and free and creative and a little bit, you know, scrappy. I just feel so much more like building that page in my grimoire is my spiritual practice right now. And highly recommend, if you haven't started one, to start building your own.
I just love a grimoire.
Yeah, they're really fun. Did we do it?
I think we did it.
Okay, let us know what's in your grimoire. Let us know, do you keep a digital or an analog? And let us know if you like this style of episode where it's very tangible, sort of how to do it, what to do it, our style of doing it with a little bit of the research and history. And if you want to see more of those, give us some topic ideas. We'll build them out for you.
Yeah, we've loved doing the research heavy episodes. I also love a research light. So
yeah. We love a research light.
All right. We will talk to you guys next week.
Okay. Love you. Bye. Thanks for listening to Demystify Magic with Molly and Madison. All our links, from spells to ceremonies to ways to support us, are waiting in the show notes.
We'd love to hear your magic moment of the week. Share it in a review, tag us on socials, or bring it to our Patreon clubhouse at demystifymagic.com.
And remember, you are the magic.
Okay. Love you.
Bye.
Best thing that's ever happened to you financially. Go.
Easy. Sold my car on Carvana. Amazing offer.
Really? I hit 200 on the scratcher.
Did the scratcher come to your house and hand you a check?
No.
How many scratchers did you hit to get that? I hit a button on Carvana.com once.
Okay, that's fair.
It's like the lottery, except you always win.
Not like the lottery at all, actually.
Exactly. Inexplicably good. Offers worth bragging about. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.